Ohio, never been there. Never want to go there. My son asked me, he says, Dad, how can you go buy these properties and do this stuff and you've never been there? I said, well, you know, if we have pictures from the realtor, we have pictures from the contractor, we have pictures from the inspector, and pictures from the property owners, and they're all pictures of different houses, we got a big problem. If they're the same house, we're probably getting close to what we need to know. Yeah, okay? So, we will have Cliff. We haven't seen Cliff yet. He's on the way. Let's go ahead and go through some of the stuff. We've got 2:18, so we're a little behind schedule, but that's okay. Maybe Cliff will be late and I'll get some of his time. You know, what a horrible thought, huh? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about credit to start off. You know, I wish that I had some kind of magic secret I could say, hey, you guys really want to know how to make money? Here's the secret. It's not that easy, is it? It's a lot of work, and you either put in the work, or you put in the money, or you put in a little bit of both, time and money, okay? So one of the things that we talked about was the private lender last month that we found, you know, in Pismo Beach, helped us get our credit out of the tank, because we were all the way down to about maybe 670 or 80, and I didn't want to sell properties at the bottom of the market. So I just said, well, we're going to use credit cards, whatever it takes, and then eventually we'll sell some things, and you know, when the market comes back. Well, that drove our credit down like crazy, and so when that private lender loaned us $150,000, and we paid all that credit off on one of our rental properties, our credit immediately jumped up to 810. Wow! Whoa! In 30 days. So you know, all these people that say, hey, you know, you give us $1,000, if you got some, you know, health thing on your credit that needs to be taken off from a hospital bill or whatever, we can do all that kind of stuff. Nothing works like just paying off the debt, okay? That doesn't cost, you don't have to go anywhere, you don't have to learn anything, you just got to pay off the debt. That's all there is to it. Well, so what happened 30 days after that? Our credit, my credit, not our, Maria, my credit went back down 26 points, and I went, whoa, wait a minute, what happened here? How did that happen? Okay, so you have your business credit and you have your personal credit. And I figured, well, you know what I'm going to do, now that all my personal credit's completely wiped out and gone, I'm just going to take some of the high credit I got on the business side, shift it over to the personal side, so my cards aren't all maxed out, get a 0% interest, that'll help my cash flow. Bam, I put $5,000 on a credit card, and immediately my credit went 26 points. That was the wrong thing to do. There actually is a difference between your business credit and your private credit. So now what do I have to do? I've got to go back and either shift it back or pay it off. Okay, because we're getting ready to refinance our primary residence, because we're in a 10-year interest-only leg and arm loan. Keep those old. We got 4 years. I think we'll get it off.
You lost a leg and an arm there.
Exactly. So that's kind of, you know, the whole motivation with all this stuff is to get past that problem, which we will. And so I need to go back, I need to pay that off, and that's coming up. But I just want you guys to understand there's a difference here in what to do and what not to do. You know, I'm all about transparency. I'm all about giving you my life as much detail as I can. My wife says, Brea says, Dan, just tell everything. You don't have to tell everything. How are people going to learn, you know? My mistakes, it's okay. We'll figure it out as we go, right? And that was the $5,000 transfer. And so, you know, why does it make a difference? Because when you make your monthly payment, it could make a difference of anywhere from $200 a month to $1,000 a month on the loan. If your loan's a $3,000 loan at $600,000 or $700,000, and your credit is down to $620,000, you're going to pay easily $1,000 a month more for that loan than you would. You'd be paying $4,000 instead of $3,000. Okay. If you're, you know, a couple hundred a month, a couple $100,000 on the property, it could be a couple $100. But that's why it's important, is because you want those payments to be as small as possible. And you want to lock in now for 30 years as quickly as you can on anything, because we've been in la-la land for a long time on low interest rates. And I remember, you know, my first investment was a duplex out in Isla Vista next to the university, and there was all my friends that I was working with were losing their properties. They had for sale signs up, and I went around working. And I said, well, why is everybody selling their house up and down the block where I live? And they said, well, the interest rates. And I said, what do you mean? They said, well, you know, our interest rates on our variable loans went up to like 16%. We can't afford to live there anymore. And I went, oh, you've got one of those kind of loans. No wonder. It should have been a fixed rate loan. Well, we've got some time now. Now's the time to do it, okay? So let's talk a little bit about why this business and how we do this business. Investing, finding properties, how do you find them, what do you want to watch out for, what are some of the big gotchas, and this is a big gotcha. And that's why when you find your management company, they're going to be certified, and they're going to be good, and you're going to do your due diligence, and you're going to know they're going to do a good job, because a lot of people that are investors, in fact, we have Santa Barbara real estate investors in this group and friends that I know that have made, you know, oh, you should come to this seminar. It's like no money down. You won't believe it. This guy's great. He's down in Los Angeles. You should check this out. And, you know, 5 or 6 houses later with no money down and these huge mortgage payments, and then the economy goes down and you can't get the rents to pay for those mortgage payments. One house goes into foreclosure, that dominoes, and the next house goes into foreclosure, and the next, and the next. And we've got friends, my wife and I know, that lost 5 houses and almost their own house. And people that sat right in this room did the same thing in Memphis, Tennessee, because of property managers just basically ripping them off. What is the loyalty? Where is their loyalty for their income, their money? Now, I've got some good property managers, and I've had bad ones that I fired. And I'm not saying don't ever get one, because there are some honest people out there. But how do they make their money? They make their money off of a commission. They're not the owner of the property. They make it off of commission. So where's their loyalty? It's not even in the 10% that you give them for managing the property, because that's really very little compared to the 15% they tack on all the repairs. If they're tacking on lots of repairs, how long do they want that tenant to be in the house? And how are they going to treat that tenant? Didn't pay your rent? We're coming to get you. You know, they're not going to treat them very well, because they want to get rid of them. They want to turn that house over. They want to make a bunch of money. We had Crystal Hahn in here talking a few months back, and she had major problems with her property managers who were doing exactly that. She's been in the business a long time. Okay, so that's an area. Go back to the website, look at the blog link, read that, and you know why when I do investments with people and I do joint ventures, do I end up on the deed with that person? Because that's the only way that I'm going to make money, is if I keep the rents high and the expenses low, and teach the tenants how to end up owning the property for half as much per month as they would if they were renting. You want to pay $800 a month for rent, or you want to pay $400 a month to own it with owner financing, and eventually we'll get you back to a standard loan to where it'll cut your mortgage payment in half. That's what a joint venture partner would do. That's not what a property manager would do. Okay? Property manager doesn't care. It's like, it's your property for now, but it might be mine if you don't pay for these bills. That's kind of a scary place to be. So one of the things that I do on Saturdays from 11 to 12 is do some coaching, okay? And anybody that wants to, they just go out to Santa Barbara REIA, look under education, click on the link for NH Big Coaching, and they can get in on this call from 11 to 12. It's free, there's no charge. And we start going through how we do this business. And this is where some of the people last week said, Dan, why don't you just talk about it a little bit more in the meetings, because we just need more information. Right?
Yeah.
I think you were on the call. No, maybe you weren't. Maybe it was me. No. Okay. For Victor. Victor. But in any case, we've got, how many people in here are on my coaching calls on Saturdays? Okay, a few. We're going to get more.
I'm shooting for it.
Right? We had a limit of 6 people on go-to meeting. I increased that to 25, so we've got room for more. Okay, and we have a go-to meeting Citrix expert extraordinaire Michael in here, who used to work for Citrix, and he can give me all the inside scoop on Citrix, who makes go-to meeting and also Podio that we'll talk about. So if you're on the calls and you're working with me, what do you get? Well, I certainly get 30-some years of experience of what not to do, because believe me, I've done a lot of things you shouldn't be doing, and I can tell you firsthand. Big red flag, don't go to a lawyer who says, I can do it all, we're a one-stop shop. We're going to close for you, we're going to do the title work, we're going to do everything. That is, you want to close in a standard title company because they protect the seller and the buyer. And as soon as you got some lawyer that says otherwise, it might take 5 years and you'll never see your money, but you will read about them going across the border in Mexico and getting caught and going to jail. I've got the article, I can show you. I've got the property, okay? And I've got about 100 investors in Los Angeles that got scammed by this guy in Orange County, so I know that game. Okay? So business cards, credibility, all this education that you get, it's like going to university for 4 years. If you get out and you haven't had any on-the-job experience, and you say, Sharon, I understand you got a house. Can I flip that house? Can I sell that house for you? Yeah, it's true, I've never done it, but I've learned a lot. She's probably not going to say yes. That's a tough thing to ask somebody. And you don't have to tell them that you don't have any experience. If somebody comes knocking at your door on your phone, can you smell it? Even on the phone, you just know in your heart something's not right there. So you need credibility. Sure, it doesn't matter if you go to me or 1,000 other places to get the education. It doesn't matter. I'd love to have and work with you. But what you really have to get is that you need a mentor to work with, so that when you talk to people and you say, hey, Michael, I'm kind of a cog in the wheel, but I'm working for the best, and they know what they're doing, and they've been doing it for 30 years, then they're going to listen to you, because you're helping them get to the point where something's going to be successful, it's going to work. So you need that. Toll-free numbers, thousands of leads. Well, people, you're saying, well, where do you get those leads? How do you know? How do you get that information? We're going to talk about that a little bit. Nationwide, vacant properties, cash buyers, motivated sellers, private lenders. These are all leads that I paid and have paid thousands of dollars for and still do. So all this stuff is kind of infrastructure that you, as a beginning investor, and let's face it, probably 60 to 70% of most REIA clubs are new investors. Now the nice thing is there's seasoned investors in there too, so the seasoned investors can say, hey, could you help me out? I don't have the time, but you probably got more time than I do. Help me find some of these properties and I'll give you some money for it. That's the advantage of having lots of people who are starting off working with people who have experience. It's that networking connection that you're going to make in this environment that if you ask, it'll show up. If you don't ask, it's not going to show up. You got to put it out there, you got to ask. Go-to meetings, we have a weekly training, Podio. We're going to talk a little bit about that, how that's managed. Well, how do you keep track of all this stuff? How do you manage all this? My wife looks at me and goes, Dan, if you died, I just want to sell everything and get out of this. It's too much. She's laughing because she knows it's a lot of work. Podio is one way that we're using to manage it. Website listings, we can put your stuff up on the websites that we've got. You don't have to run out and keep the websites. All this stuff you're eventually going to go out and spend the money on and do yourself. And the whole idea of this is, in the beginning, 3 things will happen. 1, you'll collapse back on that couch with the remote control and go, heck with that, man, that's just like too much work, I don't want to go there. Or 2, you'll say, Dan, I don't really want to do this full time. I love my career. I love what I do. It just doesn't give me enough money. And I'd like to have a little bit something extra. And I can do this once in a while and work with you. And I can work with you forever. It doesn't matter because it's just become a part-time thing for me. That's fine too. And then there's going to be some people that go, wow, this was so good. Thank you for all this information. I'm going to go make business cards just like yours. I'm going to go put websites up somewhat like yours. And I'm going to go do this business on my own. And I'll go, hey, good job. You learned it. We made some money together. We helped each other. But hopefully there's still some relationship left that we can still do some things. Okay? Don't know what they are, but we'll figure it out as we go. Okay, so that's the 3rd thing that can happen. Tech support. Who is our tech support? Michael. Doing the videos, my son Michael. Okay? Hey, Michael. doing a great job because he knows some real estate. He's been watching and listening to me for years going, Dad, I want to do what you're doing. I said, well, please, do it quick. I need a vacation. Alana's doing it. Alana's doing the registration. Yay! Great job. I hate to say it, but we're going to lose her because she's going to Long Beach to go be a nurse just like her mom, Maria. Oh. Third generation because Maria's mother was a nurse too. Wow. Okay. So yeah, really some good stuff. I'll tell you, they're the best nurses. It took me a long time to figure it out.
Speaking from experience.
But good, really good. So what we're doing is we're building up different LLCs. We've got a Alana Lee LLC, we've got a Michael V LLC, got to have some rhyming stuff in there, you know. And we're putting properties into both of those that are paid for basically free and clear on joint ventures with investors, and Maria and I are in on those LLCs, and I've got my own LLC, which is National Home Buyers and IRAs and traditional and, you know, self-directed Roth. A lot of different avenues for investing properties and handling them and managing them. And the LLCs that I've got with Michael and Lana, Maria and I, basically we are one-third, one-third, one-third. So Maria and I got the big votes, right? If there's any question about what's going to happen, Maria and I got the big votes. But when it comes to splitting the money, we've only got 2%. 1% for Maria, 1% for me, and the other 98% for them, because I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it for their education so that they can learn a business and then continue on with it. So this is a great thing to do with your kids, you know, as you look for those opportunities. A lot of people will say, well, I'm going to buy this apartment or this house and let my kids go to college there. You know, they're a good investment when they're gone. We'll do whatever we do. Well, this kind of is a step, in my opinion, above that, because we're actually creating a business that's going to help pay for all that stuff, and they can have the business and all the knowledge and whatever they want to do with it as they move forward, which is great. And I'm there for tech support, for you know, whatever you need. What happens is we do the meeting, and then during the week we have phone calls, emails, texts, whatever we need to keep this business going, okay? So where do we get our leads? There's a lot. We're going to go look at a lot of different places to get leads. Kent Clothier. His brother was here at our last expo, Chris. They're big multi-million, you know, investors from Memphis, Tennessee. And I actually met Kent at a Lindsay Jean training, and she has spoken here a couple of times in Las Vegas. And I pulled him to the side once he got off the stage, and I said, hey, this is kind of what I'm doing. I'm joint venturing with these investors. I'm basically doing all the work, and they're coming in with the money, and then we split the rents. They get half the rent, I get half the rent, they get half the profit, I get half the profit. They pay all the expenses up front, usually, and when we sell, they get all those expenses back, and if you look at some of my paperwork that I got in the back there, it actually is 50-50 by the time we get done, okay? So it's nice from the standpoint that it works out like that. But when I told him that, he looked at me and laughed. And I thought, oh my God, this guy's like multi-million-dollar, you know, family, third generation. He's laughing at me. I'm going to have to be ready for a rude awakening here. Why are you laughing? He said, I'm laughing because that's how I started my business. Exactly like what you're talking about. I said, then you think it's a good thing to do? And he goes, are you kidding? I said, well, why does it sound like it's past tense? He said, because I was giving too much away. 50% was too much for me to give away. I'm not giving 50% away anymore. I don't need to. I got a lot of money. I'm there to help people, but I'm not going to give away 50%. Okay. Okay. He said, but it's a good thing for you to do to start your business. That's a great thing to do. So it's a good service. Go do it. And I went, great. Okay. So that was a good validation. So in here, he's got a lot of different websites. He's got motivated sellers. He's got cash buyers. He's got private lenders. He's got all kinds of things. So these are ways to get leads. You'd pay $97 a month or $1,000 for a one-time fee that I did. I'd much rather do that than, you know, I hate monthly stuff because you never use it, and then 3 years later, you're still paying for it. At least this way, if I go back 3 years, I haven't paid any more, it's still there, I can use it. I've got a number of different companies where I can get things like that. So that's stuff that you don't have to pay for because I just give you the leads and we work together on getting those deals. Another way Another speaker we had here recently was Reggie Brooks. He does tax liens and tax deeds. Now, he's not gonna do tax liens with you, but he will do tax deeds, so this is somebody that we can get access to. And on our coaching calls, we really haven't gotten into doing tax deeds, but we will. We have somebody in here, do you mind if I mention that lot that we got?
Oh, yes, oh, that was good.
That lot, okay, so we had a property there with Janet, it's one of the joint venture persons that I'm working with, and we had a lot next door that the house was bulldozed down in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and my contractor said, hey, Dan, you ought to go, offer the city a couple $1,000s for that property because you could probably get a really good deal, it would increase the value, you could maybe build on it, do something. I went, yeah, it's a great idea, but too busy, didn't get there. Well, guess what came in my mail? A letter from the city, and they said, hey, we're gonna have an auction. That lot right next to your property is gonna go to an auction block. You might be interested, so I looked at it, I went, okay, so the lot, the same size house, was going for minimum bid 200. In this market, it's easier to get a house that needs to be fixed up than it is to build. That's why builders haven't been building, because things have been so cheap, they can't compete. So I figured, well, no builder's gonna be paying a whole lot for that. I'm just gonna offer bottom. I'll offer $300. They came back a couple weeks later and said, here's your lot. Nobody bid on it. You're the only bidder. You got it for $300. Yeah. So this is how we can get deals through tax deeds. Now I tried doing tax liens with some of our members in here 3 years back. Hey, I can raise your hand, please do. Yay! And he was one of them. And so what I found out was it was just as much work to do a tax lien as it was to do a tax deed. The difference, tax liens are great. You can make 18%, 25%, whatever, we talked about. It's true, you can. But what I found out was every time I did a tax lien, people would call me back up every month faithfully and go, hey Dan, how's my tax lien doing? And I said, well, it's kind of like I was doing last month. It's a 5 to 7 year deal, and they either redeem it or they don't. And if they redeem it, then we get the money. I give you your original investment back plus half of what we get on the interest, which could be 18%. So 9 for you, 9 for me. But nothing's changed from last month. That was 30 days ago. And I kept getting these calls and more calls, and I went, oh my God, I've opened up a can of worms. That's why Reggie said, I'll do tax deeds with you, but I won't do tax liens with you. No way. He does tax liens on his own, which is great. You all should be looking at opportunities to do some tax liens, okay? Because you can just go do it yourself. I do have connections to all these different websites and people, so that's where we would do the tax deeds, but I wouldn't do a tax deed, and everybody got their money back, even though they were wondering, boy, Dan, is this going to be another one of Dan's nightmare stories? They all got their money back except for one person. And it was actually somebody we were friends with and very close to, and it's been about 3 or 4 years, and Maria comes into the house the other day and goes, hey Dan, we got this $1,600 check here. What is this all about? It looks like from Florida. Do you know anything about this? And I went, oh, I know somebody's going to be really happy to hear that. So I called her up and I said, how's your day going? And she said, pretty good. And I said, well, it's about to get a lot better. She goes, you're kidding. You mean it came in? And I said, it sure did. So, that's the whole thing about tax liens. A good thing to do on your own, but not as joint ventures with people because it's just too much work for too little money. If people were investing $200,000, that might be a different story. But there's $500 here, $1,000 there. Imagine the accounting nightmare that's involved in that. So, we'll do tax deeds all day long, not a problem. And we'll do that in our coaching and our training, okay? Eventually, we'll say, hey, not only is there a list here for these properties that are vacant, but here's a list of tax deeds. Why don't you research those, get back to me. If we can seal the deal, we're going to make some money, and it's a good thing. Sean Higgins and Tony Martinez, I've done stuff with them for years, and their website has tax liens and tax deeds and all that kind of good stuff. You probably know Sean and Tony. Okay, they're good. And when they have a meeting, I have never seen anybody fill up a room like they fill up. They have 800 people show up, I mean, it's huge. I don't know if it's still that big. And, when you're doing your due diligence, I hate to say it, but I went and looked at their websites here recently, and you always put the person's name in, and then you put scam. Ruth, scam. And if it comes up, goes, oh, well, I'm so pissed off at her, blah, blah, blah. You know there's probably something going on. But if it says Ruth, nothing, then you know, wow, she's probably pretty good because I don't see any problems. You still have to do more due diligence. But unfortunately, I looked at their websites and they got a lot of stuff going on. I don't know what that's about, but I can tell you this. And here's why I'm not real excited about doing CDs and books and selling all this educational stuff. If you think that maybe 5 or 10% of the general population is going to go out and be successful and do some kind of business like this, that might be somewhere in the reality terms of percentages. If the rest aren't, and you sell them educational packages for $1,000 or $20,000 or $30,000 or $45,000, and you already know that there's a huge percentage of people who are just going to go home and never. I swear to God, I've got stuff from Al Lowry, who was here recently with Reggie, and I just took it off my shelf like 2 days ago and opened it up because I had some of his paper where I wanted to put in there, and I went, wow, I've got like 6 of these books from him, and they're all nicely wrapped up in cellophane. I never even opened them up once, you know. Well, a lot of people will come back and go, hey, this stuff didn't work, and I want my money back. I just want to go there, you know. Some of it is a problem with the speakers and the gurus. Some of it is a problem with us because we're just, you know, we just don't want to do it. I'd rather go to the beach. I mean, we're right here. Like, just get up and walk out with me. We'll go to the beach and just say, forget it. Yeah. You know, I mean, that's life. You're here to enjoy it. So what we need to do is figure out how can we do this business and enjoy it at the same time. Okay? That's a whole nother lesson and a whole nother day. Craigslist. Here's another way to find properties. Now, notice what it says here. Look for rehabbers. We blew it. Going broke. 80% complete. You're not one of those, I know, or you wouldn't be here. But you want to find some good deals? There are some really good deals on Craigslist, and all you have to do is put a search criteria in there: must sell, house, buy owner, and you don't want to go with realtors. We've had lease purchase speakers in here, and some really good ideas. Jack Johnson, I think his name was, from Texas, and you know, working with houses that are already listed with realtors. I looked at that as I was looking at this stuff the other day, and went, wow, that's right, this is such a good idea. But in any case, buy owner, for sale by owner, put in some search criteria like must sell, have to sell, probably won't see desperate. I tried that, and people just don't want to go that far. And they're certainly not going to say we blew it. You're not going to see that anywhere in there, but you can read it because what you can see is must sell, and hey, look at the pictures. Here is PIC, okay, PIC. All these have pictures, but as you look in there, you want to look for ones that have pictures because you can immediately see what those properties look like. And if you look at the pictures and go, wow, they were in the middle of rehabbing this property. I can see the rehab work being done, and now they're saying they must sell. Oh, you mean they kind of didn't really estimate their ARV properly? There was no money to get to the ARV, you know, after repair value? Okay, let's call them up and find out if we can work a deal. So that's another way to find deals is Craigslist is good. Bigger pockets. Okay, so you ask yourself, we use wholesalers all the time. And you think, well, if I lived in Oklahoma and I wanted to be a wholesaler, would I call up another wholesaler in Oklahoma and say, hey, I'd like to wholesale some of your wholesales? Probably not. Because you're just too close to them, and they're going to look at you like, well, that's kind of my backyard. Are you seriously asking me, did you just get out of a seminar? Because I am not going to say yes to that, okay? But you're in California. Yay, let's hear it for Santa Barbara. You're in California. Every time I've talked to investors and property managers and everybody that doesn't live in California in other states, I say to them, well, where does most of the money come from? Who are your investors? Is it China? Is it England? And I said, no, 80% of all the money that we got coming in here to do anything is all from California. Why did you guys get so much money? Oh, because California has huge swings and there's times when you get lots of money. all that equity buildup. So everybody grabbed their equity and went out. Cliff made it. Hey!
Obama is in LA.
Oh my God.
So I heard about it last minute, so I went to 2:15 and came around.
Oh my goodness. Well, you made it.
I left at 8 o'clock this morning from Warner Springs. It's a 3.5 hour drive.
Really? Hey, let's hear it for Cliff. You got a table up here,
Dedicated.
over there. I'd say just make yourself at home. Let's see, 2 to 2:30 was my deal. So you know what? I'm going to give you as much time as you need, and you say, Dan, I'm ready, and I'll jump off. Okay?
Alrighty.
So you just let me know, because I'm already...
I'm ready.
He's good. He's good.
Just a few seconds.
Okay, I got my computer. You can hook up your memory stick to it, whatever you want to do, and we'll make it work. So you guys, if you want to take a little break, I'm going to continue talking, but if you want to take a quick break, because this guy's good, I'm telling you, he could end up being my next mentor. Because we all need mentors. And he's a whole lot funnier than I am. I've seen him in action. That's a good thing. So grab some wine. I'm going